We're about to start our coffee chat. I have with me here somebody that is very dear to me. I must warn you, she's my cousin, and she's somebody that has, like I told you people in my post, that has contributed quite immensely to my success in public office, and very characteristic of her. At every point in time, she's always looking how to add value. But the Mekaria mentorship program is my desire to be able to create role models, give an opportunity for people to interact with those who are doing well in various aspects of our life. The Mekaria mentorship program is not just about academics, it's not just about those who are top students in class, but it is about the perseverance. It's about that Mekaria, that something else, that effort, that doing more that makes it possible for people to excel in whatever they have laid their hands on. So today I'll be bringing Uju on the stream, and we'll be discussing her path to where she is today. And it is significant to me that at this time we have seen a lot of Nigerians excelling in various aspects of their chosen endeavor. We have seen a lot of Nigerians contribute their quota. But what we want to see is that Nigeria today has an unemployment crisis. Nigeria today has a young population. More than half of our population are below 30. So there is need for us to create opportunities for employment. Now, that opportunities are limited today because government is no more the big employer they used to be. What has happened today is that government can only be a facilitator. Government can no longer be the employer of choice of old. So what we are trying to do with the Mekaria mentorship program is to show people that there are multiple pathways to success. There is the academic pathway, there is the sports pathway, there is the entertainment pathway, there is the technical and vocational pathway, and then there is the trade pathway. But underlying all of these pathways are something that you must take away from these conversations. It is the fact that all the people that are successful in this bring discipline, bring hard work, bring resilience to what they do. In fact, they bring uju, in whatever they do. So today, I'm bringing Uju, who I told you how she traveled all the way from the US to come and help me talk to the staff of FRSC on deck writing, on strategic thinking. That was our first time we brought a team together, and that team later became our planning unit. I mean, some of the members of that team. So, as I told you, Uju graduated from Metropolitan University, London, with a first class, and went on to Harvard Business School. And since then, she's worked with Merrill Lynch, she's worked with Boston Consulting Group, she's worked with BMO Harris Bank, she's worked with Dell Technologies, and currently she's working with Service Master Global Holdings, where she's expected to develop and execute high-impact, near-term, and disruptive innovations. So she's leading the innovation team. And what else do we need at this time more than innovation? So I hand it over to Uju, and I will say that if you want to ask her any question at any point, please send it as a comment or indicate. I can send you a link to your messenger so that from there you can come onto the call if you want to say something or you want to make a contribution. Notify me. I'm looking at all the comments coming. I will send you a message on Messenger, giving you a link to join this call. So, Uju, welcome, and
Thank you.
the floor is yours. I've just given a general overview of what we do here, and I would like you to take it from there and tell us your pathway to where you are today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me. Like Ikobosi said, there are multiple pathways to anything you want to do in life. I think for me, really, if I think about 5 key tenets that I would say brought me to where I am today, I would probably start and say the first thing is dare to dream. You might not have money, you might not have anything, but no one can take your dreams away. You can dream as far as you want, as big as you want, as small as you want, but they're yours. And once you kind of have that dream, anything is possible. And I think that just, that's really been my pathway. I've traveled across multiple places. I've grown up where it wasn't like my parents had a lot of money or anything like that, and I had any different advantages that other people did not have. But I dreamt. I dreamt as far as I could see. I dreamt and I worked it. I think that's kind of my first thing. I think, there's a saying that's really dear to me where Robert F. Kennedy said, some people see things as they are and ask why. Others see things as they're not and ask why not. Why can't you be this? And my late dad used to say something. If you say, oh, Daddy, I want to do this, but I don't know how, he will ask you, sorry for the people that are not Igbo here, but basically he would ask you, the people that are achieving that, how many heads do they have? Do they not just have one head like you? Why not? So it's always the why not that's been kind of the self-fulfilling prophecy for me in my life. I think the second thing I would say is know who you are. Being true to yourself, knowing what you're capable of doing, the lines that you would not cross. Don't be fluid. Fluidity in my mind never helps anyone. Be very kind of clear and direct about this is who I am, these are the things I'm willing to do, and these are the things I'm not willing to do. And as long as those things that you have to do to achieve those goals are within that matrix of the things that you've identified for yourself as the things that you're willing to do, then you're good to go. This is who I am, these are.
Yeah, go ahead, Uju. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I think the third thing for me is share the plan, learn from others. Again, as a Nigerian, and I always joke that I'm very Nigerian, I'm even 100% from Obosi. This is something that is very typical for us. We keep secrets a lot, even when something shouldn't be a secret. Of course, there are personal things that you don't want to share with the world, but there are a lot of things that you could share and you could learn from others. Having mentors, having advocates, having supporters, even having just a thinking partner always does help a lot. Secrets, no matter how much we think, I like to think I'm unique. But we really, if we're trying to be truthful, no one is really that unique. Someone before you has walked that path. Try and find those people. And the only way you can do that is by communicating and telling others what your plans are, and maybe they would help you. Fine. Not everybody you talk to would want to help you, but you don't really need everybody. You just need one or two people. I think the next thing I would say is be resilient. Ikobosi has talked about resilience. Be courageous, be tenacious. As Igbo people will say, again, I apologize, basically this translates that, happenstance, disaster separates, the brave and the tenacious from the not so brave and tenacious. Be resourceful. You could possibly have a plan, but make sure you have plan A, B, C, D. And if you get knocked down, you have to come up. And in life, most things are never going to work your way, but you don't need everything to work your way. You just need one or two, and you keep at it. You get knocked down. People just keep working that plan. Don't let disappointments keep you down, because they will try to beat you down, but the world, it's not really invested in you succeeding. You have to make the world care about you succeeding. The fourth thing I will say is faith. Have faith. Think about it. Always believe in God. Put your, everything in prayers to God. Have a plan. Pray about it. But there's a saying that to accomplish great things, we must not only act, but we must also dream. Not only plan, but must also believe. So you have to have faith. But ultimately, and again, this comes to us as Nigerians, you pray. Praying is, this sounds blasphemous, so to speak, but I'm not saying that prayer is very, very useful, but you have to work the plan. You can't just pray and then rest. Even the Bible says that faith without works is dead. So what are you? You've prayed, you've dreamt, you've made a plan, you've talked to people, but then you work the plan, whatever the plan is, with the multiple pathways. So I think that's kind of really if I kind of want to, encapsulate in a nutshell the things that I believe in and the things that I think that probably led me to here. And that was for every success I have, I probably had like 10 failures, but I kept going.
Fantastic. Uju, I would like us to now have listened to your pathways to success, and I would like to bring it to a little more to the personal. Tell me, what made you decide to go to Harvard Business School? Did you have the funding? Could your parents fund it? Were you able? Was the school fees a deterrent for you? And what efforts did you make in making that choice? And how did you work that choice?
I'm laughing about it because I graduated in 2005. So 15 years, I would have had, my class would have had a 15-year anniversary reunion last month, but with COVID, nothing happened. So 15 years ago, and I finally finished paying my student loan last year. So and I was like, okay, now I actually bought myself a large bottle of Coca-Cola. I was like, yay, I'm rich. I finally don't have to pay student loan. But I mean, not to be facetious, no, my parents did not have any money to help me. I also did not expect them to help me. But it was really, I was, just to go back, I was maybe 22 years old, 23 years old. I'd graduated from undergrad. I was working at Merrill Lynch in London. I had lots of dreams. I knew lots of things I wanted to do, places I wanted to be. But every time I'd ask for kind of, hey, can I go to this department? They would look at me. I got told once, exactly this. Someone said to me, the company frowns on people who don't know their place. So really, I should know my place. For anyone that knows me, will know that that gets my back up. You don't get to determine what my place is. I determine, basically supported by God. You don't get to determine. So I was like, okay, what do they have? And I started studying all this, typically, white people who were in those positions that I wanted to be. I didn't think they were smarter than me, but they obviously had more opportunities. And a lot of them I noticed had gone to graduate school, had gone to business school, had gone to America. Now in England, I don't know about now, but 15 years ago, 17 years ago, this wasn't typically what people did in England. You went to university, you graduated, you went and did some certification. Maybe it was ACCA if you're an accountant, maybe whatever your area of expertise was, you got a certification and you kept on going. But then I was like, okay, these people went to business school, they went to grad school, they went to this in America. What am I going to do? I was doing reasonably well. I had bought a house. I was a natural saver. Then what? So I said, you know what? I'm going to try. I'm going to try and do these things. Maybe I won't succeed, but I don't want to 10 years from now look back and said, oh, I could have, should have, maybe this, that. I want to know that I tried. I didn't, and I started looking for people that gone that path that were like me, but I couldn't find anybody. So I bought books. Now, if you imagine that the internet is not like it is now, we didn't really have internet that much. We had, dial-up AOL. So, but I knew that I could go do research. I spent days in the library. I borrowed books about, getting a graduate degree in America, all those kind of stuff. And I started talking to people. I remember a lady I worked with, Hajara, and I was talking to her. I said, hey, this is what I'm planning to do, but I don't even know where to start. I don't know anybody. And she just said, you know what? My husband knows somebody whose husband is at Harvard. I could connect you and you could talk. And that was the first thing. And I talked to this person, another person who talked to somebody who talked to someone, knew someone from their village in Imo State that had gone to Harvard. Again, they connected me. And when I met the guy, he gave me lots of advice. So that was basically talking to more and more people. And that was pretty much what I did. And I was like, okay, you have to take this match.
So I even know somebody whose husband is at Harvard. I could connect you, talk. And that was the first thing. And I talked to this person, another person who talked to somebody who told someone knew someone from their village in Imo.
Yes. So basically, we got to that point, and the more people I talked to, the more I found that lots of people are really, really looking to help you, but you just have to tell them where you need help. You have to share, you have to communicate, you have to share the plan. And the more I did that, the more I got information. I studied for the GMAT, I did all that. And then I was like, you know what? I saw the budget. In my year, to go to Harvard was like, over the 2 years was over $100,000. I know I didn't have that. But I started doing research. Okay, they would help you arrange a student loan. Now, again, some people would say, why are you taking the loan? But I really did believe in the plan that I would be able to do this. And I knew I would do the damnest I could to make sure I could get the job to pay back. And that's pretty much what I did. And I just, basically worked the plan.
Yeah, I got knocked out for a few minutes, but I heard you. So when you met, so the key point is that you made contact with individuals.
Yes.
Gave you their pathway, people who have been to Harvard or people who have experience, and that gave you an idea. So what was the step you took after those meetings?
I went and took whatever advice they gave me. I wrote it down. I always went to these meetings with a notebook. Again, fast forward now, everybody has a mobile phone, you could record it, but then it was a notebook. I wrote everything down, and then I kind of got home, I distilled it, I put it in, points. I said, okay, these are all the different pathways. It was almost like a physical map to say, okay, fine, you reach out to the school, you see if they're having events in your city, in London, you find out, you go to those events, you listen to them, you smile a lot, you introduce yourself, so that they get to know you. Again, it's all networking. You figure out what the essays are. You buy a book that talks about essays. People have written business school essays before you. Look at it. You think about the GMAT. How do you study for the GMAT? If you can afford to go for classes, take classes. If you can't afford it, study the heck out of it. I studied on the tube. I studied. I was working in different places. I was studying any chance I got. Just do whatever you can to get to that point. So by the time I did my essays, I did my GMAT, and I started applying to schools. For example, I had a plan that at that point, I think application fees in my mind was like expensive. It was like $150. So I was like, okay, I'm only going to apply to the schools that their results will come out early, so I don't have to spend this extra money to apply to the next ones. And that was pretty much how I ratcheted it up and said, okay, I'm going to prioritize these 3 schools, and those are the ones that I will choose over this. And then I'm going to prioritize this if I don't get in, so I don't have to go figure out how to pay for all of that. And then I'm going to apply for the student loan. And of course, if you don't give me the student loan, I can't go, but there's no reason why you shouldn't, because for me, there's no reason why you shouldn't give me a student loan. And that's pretty much what I did. And I got a student loan for 100%. And I paid. Now, fast forward, when I got there, I actually found out about all these different scholarships that I didn't know about. So I could have even probably reduced my student loan by 25% if I'd known about those scholarships. But again, I did not know about it. I didn't know people that done that before me. And those people I've talked to subsequently after I've been through their experience, I always told them about those loans. And they were able to reduce their, whatever loans those are scholarships, and they were able to reduce whatever loans that they end up taking.
So, interesting. So did you only apply to Harvard at that time, or did you apply to other schools? Did you get admitted, and what happened?
I actually applied to 5 schools, and I got admitted into all the schools I applied to. I applied to Harvard, I applied to Wharton, I applied to Stanford, I applied to University of Chicago, I think, and then I think I applied to Dartmouth, if I remember correctly. But those were schools I kind of, again, rolling admission. Some of them I actually got admission application fee waived because I went to the event and front and center and smiled a lot, and they probably decided they needed one extra Black person. Maybe they would, waiving an application fee for one person isn't a big deal. Again, work the plan. Use what you have to get, what you can. Talk to people. I mean, I went to the admissions directors in those events and said, I love your school, but I'd researched their school. I really want to apply, but I can't afford it. And they're like, oh, okay. I'll send you a link that you can apply and we can waive the fee. So I said, yeah, and I did that. So I actually got into every school that I applied to. But for example, I also knew that the GMAT could be a blocker. I think I definitely ended up taking the GMAT more than once to get the score that I felt was competitive enough to get in. So, it wasn't enough for me to say, okay, I've taken the GMAT once. I wasn't satisfied because I could see based on my research that my score, made me competitive, but it didn't make me more attractive than the others. And I needed to just have that extra. So I did it again.
Excellent. So, when you were leaving Harvard, and I want to assume that it was a tough, hectic time and you went through it, what was your focus? What was your dream as you were leaving Harvard? What were you focusing on at that time?
As I was leaving Harvard, probably the singular dream for me and probably a lot of people was to get a job. Because the whole point is you don't do all this stuff. You want to get a job. If you've made it through all this, you want to, the difference between going to a good school and getting a job is that you get a job, and this might seem too practical, but not being American at that point, you had to figure out how to get your papers situated. And I wasn't going to go through all the Harvard stuff and then try and figure out papers when you could find a job from these places that would file for you. So that was kind of, and I'm definitely very practical. So that was the singular most important thing for me from the first day I got to Boston was get a job, a good job. And then from there you can figure out the next step.
Excellent. So tell us about this first job. What was it?
My first job, I actually worked for the Boston Consulting Group. It's a strategy consulting company, and this was in the Chicago office. I actually did a summer internship between my first and second years at the same office because you pretty much start recruiting for a job immediately you get on campus. And you can kind of see the people that take it seriously versus the others. Again, it's about know who you are, know what you're facing, and I was doing it. I was like, I needed a job. I don't have the same luxury some of these people have. And I'm certainly not going to have to figure out papers any other way, especially when I don't have to. So I got a job as a summer intern between my first and second years in Chicago in their office. And that was it. And I looked at it like it was like pretty much a 3-month interview. So these people essentially have 3 months because they're observing you every day. The key here, for me, I'm very goal-oriented and I like to piecemeal goals. I like to kind of, break them into manageable chunks. What is the immediate goal? What is the next step? What is the immediate goal for my summer internship was to impress them enough that they'll give me an offer to come back next year as a full-time. Nothing else mattered. So I did the work, I did all the extras, I smiled enough. I laughed, whenever they made a joke, even when I didn't think it was funny. You just do whatever you needed to do. I went to all the events and all that kind of stuff because for that 3 months between May to August, these people were observing you. Not everybody who was a summer intern would get a job to come back. And I wanted to get a job. I wanted to go back to Boston for my second year, knowing that I already had a job for next year. So I did all that, and I was really lucky enough and fortunate enough to get an offer to come back after I graduated the next year, which I did.
Okay, I have Chikodile who wants to ask a question. I'm going to let him into the house. Chikodile, you can unmute your mic. You need to unmute your mic so we can hear you. Yes.
I can't hear. Can I talk now?
Yes, you can. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I can't hear. All right, ma'am. I listened to you. Congratulations on paying off your student loan. It's a very big thing. I'm listening from Alaska, United States. Yeah. So it kind of connected to me because I just moved over here from Nigeria in 2017, and I've been having issues because I actually work with a multinational company. We do construction, so I do construction monitoring. But I've been having issues because you talked about being fluid and being disciplined, but not. You talked about not being fluid. Sorry, but I've been having issues of not like I try to be straightforward as much as possible. But my coworkers, they're always trying to misinterpret me. Like they say you're too strict, you're not being fluid, and you're just too straightforward. So how do you maneuver all these hindrances at work? Because I looked at your CV and you have worked with many multinational companies. So I just like one or two advice from you.
I mean, knowing who you are is definitely very important. But I think one of the things that I found that has worked for me is read the room, so to speak. So if you come in, I mean, I don't know enough about construction, but I would imagine that the rules are pretty solid because people will die if something doesn't actually go according to plan. So for that, especially, I would kind of, demarcate your professional work. Okay, guys, this is the work. These are the rules. If we don't do this, we don't get permission. We have to keep this standard. But on the personal side, it's more like saying, how do I relate to these people personally? Find something, maybe that guy that sits next to you, find something, they talk a lot anyway, find something that they've said, maybe football, for example. I don't know what people like in Alaska. Learn about it. Like, don't become an expert, but hey, that person, maybe they're going out for some event, even if I don't drink, but I learned to go to Friday afternoons after work or whatever. You can, buy a glass of Coke or something, but just kind of put yourself out just a bit. So it would seem like, because to them, a lot of times they see you, if you're not talking, if you're not socializing with them, that you're taking notes and you just want to kind of be the teacher's pet and go report them. Yeah, you want to kind of say, I'm part of the crew, but I'm still who I am. And there's this part that I wouldn't cross, like the professional piece. I'm not going to let you guys put me in trouble because when the chips are down, you'll be standing on your own. So I would say professionally, these are the rules, we have to keep them. But on the personal side, maybe move an inch. Find the one person. I would say find that advocate. You need one person. Find that one person in the group that seems the most friendly to you. Mm-hmm. That kind of is interested in you. Maybe
I have some feedback here. One of them is that they would like you to speak a little slower.
Okay.
To follow you, just a little slower. The people in Alaska, I'm sure, understand you.
Okay.
A little slower. Then there's a question that Steve Harvey said, having a plan A, B, and C makes it people to quit. That you need to have a plan and stick to it. What's your take on that?